Welcome to Spinning Back Clique, where each week here at MMA Junkie, we take a spin through the biggest stories in MMA. On today's episode, Max Holloway is officially a buzzkill, ruining people's party, and PFL made a splash in South Africa. Take notes, UFC, and RDR versus Bobby Knuckles on Saturday. That's what I'm talking about. Hello, everyone. Gorgeous George here on the con. Look at the distinguished panel we have for you today. Goes is in Las Vegas, my MMA Junkie radio co-host on Mondays and Thursdays. And Danny Segura is down in Miami. Check out his show in Espanol. It's called Hablamos MMA. He's been killing it as well. Now, joining us later in the party will be one of our editors, Matt Wells. But we got to get started here because there's a lot to talk about, fellas. Oh, and shout out to Cold Coffee as well. He's our producer. He'll be on the ones and twos. Please hit the like button as we get this show started. All right, fellas, UFC 318 is in the books. Fun show, no doubt. You know, I gave it a 5 on paper, and coming out of the watch along we did on Saturday, it wound up an 8. Let's start at the top, where Max Holloway won a unanimous decision over Dustin Poirier, thereby spoiling the Diamond's retirement party. Poirier walks away from the trilogy up 2-1, but he does leave the sport with consecutive L's. All right, let's get your reaction to this BMF's conquest and title defense. Danny Segura, what are your thoughts here?
MMA is ruthless, man. You would think that this would be like the perfect like fairy tale ending for Dustin Poirier's career, right? He would be fighting in his home crowd, walking away with the BMF belt, which in a way it's maybe even more symbolic than the undisputed one given his trajectory of his career, right? But that wasn't the case. You know, he lost to Max Holloway, lost the opportunity to win a belt, and yeah, left on an L, but still overall that guy's winning. You know, leaves with his health fairly intact. I'm sure there's going to be bumps and bruises that are going to follow for the rest of his life. You know, I mean, he had some crazy wars, but he seems all there, and you know, he seems well off money wise, and he said that as well. So all in all, like great night for Dustin, but yeah, it sucks that he didn't get the win, but you know, that's what happens when you face off with a BMF like Max Holloway. It's hard to beat him.
It did go back and forth too. Both guys had knockdowns of each other, attempts to finish the fight, and both guys were very resilient and showed us heart. But this one could have ended in the first round. Instead, it went all 5. Danny, did you even notice Holloway was really marked up, bleeding and stuff, and Poirier kind of didn't have much to him, yet it was Holloway that was staying busier and landing more. I guess maybe just he facially scars up and cuts up a lot easier than Poirier.
Yeah, sort of like the BJ Penn effect, right? We've seen that before. Some fighters just have, I guess, tough skin, or you know, just are very durable in terms of like lacerations and stuff. So Poirier looked fine. Yeah, and Holloway looked pretty beat up. But if you go watch the fight, I mean, it should have been the other way around. Clearly, the one that did the most damage in terms of connecting the better shots, getting the closest possible to finish the fight, that was Holloway.
All right, and joining us now on the show is one of our editors, Matt Wells. So I'll get to you, Goes, in just a second here, but you and I did the watch along, so I know how you felt about the card. I want to get the fresh takes. Matt, thanks for jumping on late notice. We appreciate your time. Give us your reaction to that main event that we had on Saturday between those two legends.
Yeah, man, glad to hop on. You threw up the bat signal on me at the last minute. It's all good, though. Yeah, man, this was a hell of a main event. I mean, you know, all the talks about the BMF title, whether people think it's legitimate or, you know, something just people think it's just, you know, some sort of gimmick. One thing you can't deny is that every time that BMF title's on the line, man, we get a banger of a fight, like every single time. This one was no different. I mean, these two guys went out there, they put it all on the line. The emotions were high with Poirier's retirement. I mean, there was just so much to like about this fight. And the fact that it lived up to the expectations for me, you know, you really have nothing to complain about. I mean, obviously, we didn't get that fairy tale ending of Poirier getting his hand raised on his swan song and all that stuff. But, I mean, hell of a fight. I scored it 50-45. I don't know how you guys, you know, if you talked about the scoring yet. but it was a 50-45, like in the closest way. But I just had Max winning every round. You know, when it came down to it, they were close rounds, but I just thought Max did better every single round of the fight. Maybe round 2, you could give it to him with that late knockdown from Poirier. I'm not going to argue too much about that, but I still think Max had a better round up until that point.
And that's what I had. I had 4-1, but I remember talking it over with Goes and feeling like that round, because Max had success early in that round, might, you know, all of his output, his damage might hold up, but recency bias sometimes when them judges are writing that 10-9 down. Goes, share your thoughts now with this audience. We did the watch along on Saturday and we enjoyed the fight. Remember, on paper we weren't too impressed, but as the night progressed, we left pretty happy.
Yeah, all in all, I think it ended up working out. I think it's Coach John Wood. George, you might have to correct me, but he always tells his fighters, MMA hates you. It really does. And it sucks to kind of see Poirier go out in that way. But I think all in all, like coming into this whole situation, considering the fact that Poirier was up 2-0 on him, it's his swan song, everything that they did to lead up to this, you kind of forgot about the actual fight, that the fight was going to actually be interesting, right? So I thought they did a good job of making the fight interesting. Like Matt said, even though it was kind of one-sided as far as what the scorecards read, it still was close enough every round where you felt like Poirier had his moments where he could still maybe come back. Early on, it didn't look that way, right? It did look like a guy that we would probably say, hey, it's time, buddy. You got to go. Max Holloway hit him pretty good. But he made the comeback and he made things pretty interesting. So I was happy with the fight. I think both guys kind of had their moments. In the end, it ended up being pretty special. And even though it didn't go out the way maybe Poirier wanted to, I think he could be happy with what he turned in as his final performance.
Yeah, it does suck because I'm thinking, you know, I don't know them all off the top of my head, but Zombie lost. I think it was Holloway too. Anthony Smith recently. These retirement parties don't go too well, you know. And like Matt said, because the rounds were close, I guess towards the end, he thought, man, that maybe there's a shot in the dark here that Poirier's name does get called. When they don't go to some of these commissions, some of these states very often, you don't hear those traditional judges who were familiar with the way they score. You'll hear like Lucas McDribble, Judge Ty West. And so you're like, yeah, here comes something that they don't have experience, you know. But in the end, I think Holloway just, you know, facial features or lack of facial features, you know, cuts and bruises and abrasions or not, he was just the better fighter, you know, landing the right blows. So he was well deserved. But I thought the UFC did a good job with you know, giving this retirement party for Dustin Poirier. You know, a lot of stars showed up, a lot of New Orleans Saints, other athletes, Louisiana sports figures and celebrities, and it was teed up for him. That's all you can do. Now, things didn't go his way, but they did do a nice video for him. The UFC did. And we have that for you. We'd like to share it with you. So let's check out the UFC and their tribute video to Dustin Poirier.
It's about me accomplishing something I told my wife when I was 17 that I was going to do. I set a goal out as a kid. I knew nothing about what I was walking into, but kept walking. But somebody who's been thrown away, somebody who's been underdog, somebody who's been beat and broken and put themselves back together and really did it.
What do I think of when I hear Dustin Poirier?
When I hear the name Dustin Poirier.
Top 10 star in the history of the sport.
Legend.
Fighter's fighter.
And you can call it a line. I guess the pressure been diamonds. I know my nickname's defining, cause I've been polished from grinding. The good fight is my promise. I pay homage to the ones that needed help when they falling. They built me up, now I'm stronger. That's why I fight and they on all the way. We could take it all the way. First ballot, Hall of Fame, title belt around my waist. Pay the fool. Tell you, humble beginnings made me stronger. It built my armor. Now I can conquer anything. It's not a dream. I made it happen with belief. It's all in reach.
He starts wiping his hair, fixing his shorts. And that's kind of when you know Dustin Poirier is about to turn on.
Of a living a legend. I came to set the record straight if they ain't get the message. There ain't no weapon formed against me that can stop these blessings. So when I'm walking to the cage, they know that I'm protected, the most respected.
You having fun?
Having a blast, sir.
When you're a cut man, you get this assignment. You buckle up. Dustin works as hard as anybody in the game. Talk about a guy who loves fighting. Enter the diamond, Dustin Poirier.
I would like to thank Dustin for the memories. Dustin has been a point of inspiration.
Appreciate what you've meant to the UFC and your heart.
What an incredible career you've had, mate. You're a solid dude, incredible human being, and an incredible fighter.
Good luck. You know, you have an amazing career, and I know you need to rest, but we're gonna miss you.
Every single person from Louisiana is proud of you. Hell, DP, the world's proud of you. Congratulations, my friend.
Thank you for what you've done for the game, for showing the average guy that if you work hard at anything, you can get to the top and shine bright like a diamond. So thank you, Dustin Poirier. The man.
I wanted to dedicate this journey to the people who made me the man I am. To my grandmother, I miss you every day. I know I'm still protected by your prayers. To my mother, we've had a crazy life. I love you, thanks for always having my back. And to my wife, I love you so much. I wouldn't be standing right here without you. And to Parker, Daddy's fine, I love you so much. We all right, baby. Always chase your dreams. Dustin Poirier, ladies and gentlemen.
Man, that was cool. The second time around goes. I know we saw it on Saturday, but I think we have distractions going on, and now I got to hear the lyrics and rehear, you know, the kind words from a lot of his colleagues. I really appreciated that. Great job, Kenny, in putting that up for us, and for those that might have missed it on Saturday. What kind of a legacy does he leave, Matt, for you? Yeah, he's very clear. He missed out on that undisputed lightweight title, but did he pretty much tick every other box?
Yeah, I mean, he aside from that, yeah, he got everything else that you could ask for. I mean, he had the big knockout moments, just an all-around good dude inside the cage, outside the cage. You know, he's got a big impact on his community. He's like, you know, if you're looking for a fighter, for a role model, I mean, you kind of look towards Dustin Poirier, don't you? Family man, never been in any trouble, really. Like, it's just like every other thing that you could think of that you would want in a fighter, it's Dustin Poirier. Yes, he didn't get that undisputed title. He got the interim. You know, I mean, it is what it is. But like I said, big knockout moments. That knockout over Conor McGregor just ages beautifully every single day that passes. Like, it gets better and better every single day. There's really nothing to complain about. I mean, obviously, the guy just went out there. He put it on the line every single time. I think the one knock that you can put on him in his career is that affinity to jump that damn guillotine when he didn't need to so much. But I mean, that was just, you know, his fun thing. And he even did it in this last fight. So that was kind of cool. He got to do it one more time. And it was funny when he said he thought that was going to be the one, which is funny because he always thinks that's going to be the one every single time he does it, but it just never worked out.
Well, he did land the one on Mike Bond. But you're right. The ones that mattered, he didn't get those. Goes, what about, or Matt, let me stay with you. Do you have a favorite memory, or was it that knockout over McGregor? You might have already said it. Did you have another one? That was it? Matt Wells?
No, sorry, say that again.
That was your favorite memory then for McGregor, was the second KO over?
100%.
Goes, legacy. What's his legacy, and what's your favorite moment?
I think he's a guy that always gave you an honest camp. You never saw him in a fight where you thought, did this guy not take this fight serious? I mean, he's always in shape. He always had good things to say. I think he's a guy who stood up for himself, his family, and he made everyone around him better. And I think that's always an important thing in life, is to try and build people around you and have a good core group. And he did that. And as far as my favorite memory goes, it's got to be the last win over McGregor. He had just had so many things to battle in and out of the cage into that fight, and to kind of walk away the way he did, I thought that was pretty legit.
When he was mimicking poor McGregor when they had bad blood. Yeah. All right. How about you, Danny Segura? A legacy? What kind of a legacy does he leave, and what was your favorite moment?
Yeah, legacy wise, I think he's also like an example of somebody that made the most out of his situation. Like, looking back at his career, the way things went, the cards that he was dealt with, like, things couldn't have worked out any better, right? Like, he did everything right. And that's why he's as successful as he is, you know, both in his like family life, financially, career wise. But yeah, you don't leave with a feeling that like, man, he could have done more, or you know, maybe if he would have done this, or there was like a key moment in his career where it just kind of felt like he did everything that he could possibly do, and he did it well, and did it responsibly, was always in shape, as Goes mentioned, made smart decisions, and look where that took him. So yeah, I think it's just an example of like, you know, sticking to your moral compass, doing things right, and eventually, you know, if you just follow your passion, you know, things will work out, at least for some people, like Poirier did. But yeah, and in terms of like favorite memory, I'm never gonna forget the time that he was heading into that Gagey fight, and we knew it was gonna be a car crash, giving both those guys style, and he was one of the guys that kind of, we always knew that this happened, but he was one of the guys that kind of was first to vocalize, and he was so explicit about it. He said, I know I'm going to be a different person after I leave that fight. I'm going to leave a piece of myself. I believe that was the quote in there. And once you hear that, you obviously know that these guys like go in and out of fights, and sometimes they change, and this sport is obviously taxing on the body. But he put it in such a context that was like, yeah, like that's one is badass, and two, like, yeah, he just kind of made MMA a little bit more real. And he signed a contract knowing that like his health and his life could vastly change from that point on. So yeah, just kind of put into the context like what's at stake here sometimes for these fighters. So yeah, shouts out to the Diamond. There will never be somebody like him. I think fighter's fighter, probably pound for pound, the most exciting fighter to ever exist, right? It was just like back-to-back fight nights, fight of the nights, always in fight of the year contenders. I mean, that guy is a true gem. So shouts out to him, and all the best in retirement.
No disrespect to him, but I hope one of his fights goes in before him, because I think he could get at least 2 of them in there. We know he'll get in, but that's how great his fights were. You know, you just know that you always had a possible fight of the year candidate whenever he was fighting. We covered him since WEC, saw him kind of grow up, mature into a man, and get better. You know, I know Izzy probably, it didn't come out right. He made it sound like he was an average guy or whatever. I mean, obviously he's a talented fighter, but he made himself so much better over the years. And even though he came up short in the 2 BMFs, undisputed title, he really ticked every other box.
Yeah.
But more importantly, I think he helped make the sport better. Is one of the best compliments I think I can give him. He represented himself as a man and MMA fighters in whole. Hey, we're not knuckleheads. Not all of us get in trouble or do stupid stuff just because all of a sudden we come across fame and money and power. You know, he loves his wife, loves his daughter, loves his team. Very exciting. You know, and he had a lucrative career despite not, you know, getting the major strap. And very charitable and humble. So
yeah,
salute to you, my friend. Enjoy your retirement, and don't feel like just because you laid down the gloves, you don't have to come back, because you look pretty good to me on Saturday. It's just that Max Holloway rose to the occasion, guys, and let's pivot to that. Max Holloway, we got ourselves a proper 55er here. He's 2-0 in his last 2 attempts at 55, and he's taken out 2 legends. Back to you, Matt Wells. Your thoughts on Holloway, who, by the way, was very gracious and said, talk about Dustin. You know, he just took his flowers and went to the side, but let's give him some flowers.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's give him some flowers. And not for nothing, before we just completely dive into Max, I mean, this trilogy between these 3, I think it's going to age beautifully. Like as the years go by, and then once we stop talking about, you know, Dustin Poirier's retirement side of things, when you look back on it, I mean, it was mentioned in the promo video for Max's side, talking about Dustin took my undefeated record. He beat him for the title, and now I'm going to ruin his retirement. Like he did all those things. And like he actually came through on the end and, you know, did that part of it. So I think when we look back on it, you know, a little bit later down the road, it's going to be one of those top trilogies in the sport. But yeah, Max is absolutely a player at 155 now, because I mean, he's one of the best boxers in the division. His hand speed's incredible. His combos are super crispy. He's going to be a problem for anybody, and that includes the champ when they eventually do run it back. You got to like Max Holloway against pretty much everybody right now, especially when a lot of the top guys in 155 are aging out. So it's kind of hard to say Max isn't going to be, you know, a legitimate threat to the title.
Danny, I agree with everything Matt Wells said. I guess the only thing I want to ask you is, should it be immediate? Because Dana White is kind of warm to seeing them fight again. And remember, he did beat Gagey in the last attempt at 55. But where is Max Holloway in that title hunt? Because we know it's crowded up there.
Yeah, so for the staff picks, I picked Poirier, right? And I really thought that Max was going to be in another situation where he was going to find himself, big name, skilled fighter, but just in a very difficult situation in the division. But that wasn't the case, and I was surprised how much he was able to salvage in his career. Like, you got Dana White already kind of warming up to an idea of a potential rematch with Topuria. He looked great at 155. I actually think he's looking better at 55 than he was at 45. I don't remember him having that much power at 45. Like, look at the knockout of Gagey and at 300, and now how many times did he knock down Poirier? Like, the dude packs way more power at 55 than 45. And so, yeah, I was surprised at how much he was able to salvage in terms of like becoming relevant once again for the title picture. But even then, even though he exceeded my expectations, I'm not really down for a Poirier versus Holloway too, at least not anytime soon. I think I need one more win. Sorry, and Holloway, yes. Yeah. Poirier and Holloway, yeah. So I think Poirier I need one more.
Yeah.
Huh?
Okay. Yeah. Sorry.
Poirier. Yeah.
Okay.
Topuria and Holloway.
Yeah.
What is this, Abbott and Costello? What's going
on? I'm not down for a rematch. I think I need one more from Holloway, and I think he can get it. As Matt Wells said, I like him outside of the champion. I think I like him against everyone in the division. Maybe Sarukian will be kind of a tough one, but outside of that, I think he beats everyone.
One more
fight from him.
I'm sorry, Danny.
I'll go.
Yep. Did Holloway leapfrog anyone? Remember, there's Gaethje, Sarukian, and Pimlet, but there's recency bias in this damn sport. We kind of forget about what you did 2 weeks ago. Yeah, that was cool. Did you see what happened yesterday?
Maybe Gaethje, but I mean, look, how many times on the show have we talked about what could possibly be next? I just don't see a scenario where he leapfrogs anyone. Beating Dustin Poirier is not easy. He did get out there with a W, but there is one thing that's just a little concerning for me, and that's that defense. You know, he did look pretty lumped up. He took a lot of shots from Dustin Poirier. I don't know that he survives those types of shots from some of the other lightweights. That he's got to kind of shore up a little bit. I know a lot of his career has been built off of just being a lot tougher than other guys, but that luck tends to run out as you get older, right? So I think he does need to shore up a couple things, but he's going to have better life at lightweight, especially now that featherweight's kind of in the rear view mirror, and he can concentrate on just building his body to, you know, the correct body that he needs at 155. He can really shine here, and I think he will eventually fight for that belt again. I just don't think it'll be soon.
I think he looks so much stronger at 55. In one of those embeddeds, Poirier and Holloway crossed fast. They hugged it out, and then he said something about, man, he's tough to take down. His legs are strong. And I was like, oh, okay, you know, whatever. And of course, you guys don't like, I don't like how Holloway looks in them damn tights. It looks like little kids' diapers or whatever he's wearing. But man, if you look at his quads, he has really, really filled in hips, quads, and he's got, you know, more guns now. He's that lanky featherweight from Hawaii. No, man, hell no. This guy's a big dude now. So I could see him having some success at 55. And I think he's moving up there, but them grapplers still might give him some trouble. I don't know. Congrats to Max Holloway on the win, and congrats to Dustin Poirier on a great career. Let's move on, though, here, because UFC 318 had some big moments outside the main event. Let's discuss those. We'll start with the co-main event, where Paulo Costa proved many naysayers, including yours truly, wrong by defeating the favorite in the fight, Roman Kopylov. Matt, what the heck happened there? Costa was twitchy on fight week. He lost 4 of 5, and then all of a sudden he brought back the Costa from 5 years ago.
Yeah, he lost 4 or 5, but look who he lost those 4 or 5 to. Like, when I looked at the betting line for this fight, this was the one I was screaming. I was like, Vegas, you got this one wrong. You got this one wrong, Vegas. I mean, you can't lose to former champion. And then those fights be pretty entertaining for the most part, except for the Izzy fight where he got finished. Costa is really that good, and I never understood why he was the underdog in this fight. I was like, Kopylov hasn't beaten anybody really in that upper tier of the division yet. Paulo Costa is still very dangerous. Like, I didn't understand him being the underdog here whatsoever. So the result of this fight was not surprising to me. I honestly thought he was going to finish the fight, but he didn't get that done. However, like, I was not surprised that he went out there and pretty much styled on Kopylov. He's super aggressive. He hits hard. He has a chin. I did not get the pre-fight talk coming in this one. I honestly didn't.
Man, I feel like a fool as Matt Wells was talking because I was all over Kopylov, bet the guy, and I had my Saturday ruined. I wish we would have chatted about this on Saturday morning. Danny, your thoughts?
Though we did with Farah Hanoun. You're lucky
right.
she's not here. She's gonna throw a pie in your face. She said
everyone liked him except me. But dude, this guy was, when you're not leading into the fight week, you're not looking good for whatever reason. You're pudgy or you're whatever. And this guy, he was convulsing, guys. I thought something was wrong with him. I thought it was the weight cut or whatever. And then all of a sudden he looked outstanding. Go ahead, Goz. You want to finish up? I mean, keep talking about a racer.
Well, I mean, look, I think he had a great performance, and not just that, he kind of set the foundation for what could be next. This is what we tell fighters all the time. Like, that moment with the microphone is so valuable. And somebody in the chat just said, great call out after the fight. If Chimaev were to lose that fight, he basically set the foundation for getting that fight, right? They're not going to give it to him off of a win, but off of a loss, I think maybe he could set that up, and there's heat. It's something that they could build for the company. The UFC needs guys like Costa around, and yeah, things weren't looking well for him record-wise, but he's a guy that we tune into. And look, I don't want to completely throw that pie in your face, George. I thought Kopylov could give him problems because he does come forward a lot, put a lot of pressure, but there was no plan B in sight at all for Kopylov in that
He looked shook.
No, like, have you ever seen those videos when people walk into glass and they don't realize there's glass, He would have done that 5 straight rounds over and over until somebody's actually directed him towards the door. He was making no adjustments, and Costa was just picking him apart, man. And I actually thought he was going to use his ground game a little bit more in this fight, but he actually did it on the feet. He looked tremendous.
Yeah. How about you, Danny? You want to rub it in as well? I already feel like a fool. Were you one of the guys that turned in Kopylov or Costa?
On the staff picks, I don't remember, but I do remember looking at that line and being like, dude, this is not right. And I agree with everything that Matt Wells said. Like, Kopylov also had shown little signs here and there of like kind of fading over time. And we know that Costa, like, look at that. And I'll take this opportunity to use the name you very much love in this show. Look at that Joel Romero fight. I mean, the guy could be tired and he's still swinging, right? And I thought he looked great against Robert Whittaker. So no, I was not surprised at all by the result.
Oh man, I don't know how I missed it. He pulls out of fights. He doesn't fight often. 4 or 5. Matt's right. They have been killers. I get it, but
when he
fights, they're competitive. He looked good against Strickland. He looked great against Robert Whittaker.
Not against Dizzy though, right?
No, but I mean that was so far back, right? And Kopylov is not Strickland. Kopylov is not Whittaker.
True.
So
yeah. And the odds makers need to get a pie in their face too, because this whole card, man, there was some really high odds out there, and they did not work out in their favor.
Yeah, but there was also a lot of underdogs there. Patricio, Johnson
was plus 500. Zell Huber got up to minus 800. Someone got up. Who was it? Minus 600. Who else was on this card? Hold on, I'll look at it right now and I'll tell you. Someone got up to minus 600.
Kevin Holland.
Yes,
Kevin Holland was really high.
Kevin Holland was creeping up there. D-Rod was getting disrespected.
This was an underdog night. All the underdogs on the main card won except for Dustin Poirier. And he was a slight underdog. It was like, just
I think Holloway made it the favorite from what I saw.
Yeah, he was.
So crazy stuff, man. Congrats to Paulo Costa. I just got it wrong. All right. And how about Patricio Pitbull? He didn't have a good debut in the UFC. His sophomore run, though, went a lot better. Goes your reaction to him beating the veteran Dan Ige?
I think patience won him the fight in this one. I think he was very eager in that first fight to just kind of get out there. I think he threw the game plan out a little bit, but in this one, he was a little bit more patient and let Ige come to him. And we talk about plan B. Too. Yeah, when he needed to, he was aggressive. This is kind of glimpses of the Patricio of old, right? So I kind of like how he looked in this one. I didn't really like his call out, but we'll see what we do with him next.
Who was his call out again?
Let's fight Pico.
Oh, Pico's missing that fight with Evloev. We'll get to that in just a second, but maybe it's not the end of the world. They got some Bellator history, I guess. Matt, talk about Allen versus Vettori, and what do you do with Brandon Allen? He shook off the 2-fight losing streak. Looked great in his home state.
Wait, hold on. Let me interrupt real quick. It'd be hilarious because we waited for Pico versus Pitbull for so many years. And it'd be hilarious that the promotion to do that fight it'd be the UFC and not Bellator,
Right.
nor PFL. Jesus. Anyway,
no
sorry.
doubt. No, Allen looked good, man. Him and
That
Vettori
first
got
round,
they got a
came out of
gift
the
for
gate.
fight of the night because that was not fight of the night, but it was still a good fight, but it was not fight of the night. Holland and D-Rod got robbed on that, but congrats to Allen, man. He looked good. He was sharp. Like he said on the mic after the fight, he was not going to lose at home, and that was kind of like the feeling I had going in. Even though I picked Vettori earlier in the week, I should have changed it because I was just like, I had that mentality too. I was like, this is going to be a good night for Louisiana. Obviously, it wasn't with Poirier, but Allen looked good. Way to snap that 2-fight skid, man. He's just weird to pick, like going in and out of like week to week. Like, I mean, not week to week, but each fight, he's kind of hard to pick because you don't necessarily know what you're going to get. Sometimes he's more aggressive than others. Sometimes it's just like he seems like he's just kind of going through the motions. But in this fight, he looked really good. And that's the kind of fights I want to see from him going forward. He was aggressive. He stayed coming forward. He was sharp. And to do that against a guy against Vettori, too, who's just got an iron chin that is like mythical to man. Like, I don't understand how this dude can take the shots that he does. I think I was saying on our Slack that like once his chin goes, it's gonna be a brutal knockout. Like we're gonna fear for his life when somebody finally does hit that button.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Allen's stand-ups improved. Vettori would not go away. At one point, Vettori was on top after getting steamrolled in the first 3 minutes. And I was like, wow, this fight went back and forth. I thought it was a good fight, but I also think the fight of the night could have went somewhere else. Danny, Vinicius Oliveira and Kyler Phillips. Man, what was your reaction to that fight? You know, bantamweight's been a favorite of mine, many of you guys as well. I don't know where it's at nowadays, but still, I mean, that was a proper fight too.
It was. I love Vinicius Oliveira, man. Loke dog. Joshua Van used to be my favorite prelim fighter because now he's obviously stepped up to main card now fighting for a title. But now this guy has that label. He's my favorite prelim fighter right now in the UFC. Dude, the guy is just comes to war. The guy goes to finish. He throws caution to the wind, and it works out for him, man. It really does. So shouts out to Vinicius, man. He's a fun fighter to watch.
Heck yeah, man. He's like a zombie with his hands down, and he throws, man, you know these guys, right? From baseball, Kent Colby, Dan Quisenberry. That looks like a sidearm body shot. You know, dude, that guy is really, really fun. Give me another highlight, Matt Wells from UFC 318. Let's give some love to some of the fighters that performed that we haven't had time for here in this segment.
I don't know what the other guys are going to pick, but I was impressed with Dulatov. This guy looks like he can be a real problem really quick.
German model, right?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah,
like when a guy has that kind of thing going for him, that confidence, that swag, I mean, he looks the part very early. I'll just say that. I mean, he's a guy definitely to keep an eye on.
He should lean into that whole model thing and pull a Rick Rude or whatever, because people are gonna remember him, man. He made a splash. How about you guys? Another highlight?
Why wouldn't you go with Rick Martel? He was literally the model.
Well, I don't know. Rick Rude would kind of like do his little shake, and I think he'd have like Jake Roberts' wife on his crotch. I mean, I think he leaned into it a little bit more.
I just wanted to see if I could get you to do that thing. Holland and D-Rod, but that was just a scrap, dude. I don't know how to describe it. At times, it almost looked like two drunk guys going at it, but it was a lot of fun. I think D-Rod dug deep in the end, you know, because Holland was starting to turn it on a little bit. But that was a really, really, really fun fight to watch.
3 in a row for the for D-Rod from LA. How about Costa Mesa now? How about you, Danny? Another highlight, please.
Shouts out to Jimmy Crute, who snapped a fight winless streak. He had 2 draws and 3 defeats, and look, light heavyweight is in dire need of some names. That guy's been around. If he can get a string together a few victories, which I've always thought he was a very skilled fighter, he could be fun piece in this whole light heavyweight puzzle for the future. So shouts out to him.
All right, and then my shout out goes to Vettori and Allen. Not just the fight. I thought it was classy how Allen kind of put things off to the side with whatever happened about a year ago at the Hard Rock in Florida, that casino fight that they had. He gave respect to his brother, who just passed away, and then he acknowledged his brother, who was in the stands. He says, I was not going to lose to my brother. I didn't know this, but he has a brother who's quadriplegic, but he was there. Huge fan of Brendan. And so for him to kind of just pivot and turn the page, I thought that was great. I just heard pre-show that apparently the Vettori side is still not too happy, and who knows what else has been said. But at least in that moment publicly, I thought it was pretty cool, for him to give some love to his brother who was up there, and also acknowledge the passing of Marvin's little brother. Anyway, all right, guys, UFC wasn't the only promotion in action this past weekend. PFL made their way down to Africa, Cape Town, South Africa, to be exact. This was a Saturday afternoon affair. Let me tell you something, guys. PFL had a solid show, honestly, and an epic main event too, man. Let's discuss that. Johnny Eblen loses the title. He's no longer got that O, and he doesn't have that belt either. Costello Van Steenis coming in with the late upset.
Yeah, I would say that one, it was shocking. I didn't think that would go down, right? And I think it was the whole reaction of the MMA world. And two, I would say like pretty terrible outcome for the PFL, right? I don't know how much star power is going to transfer over from Eblen to Costello's, but yeah, I don't know. Johnny Eblen was a guy that you could maybe make the claim that he was the best 185er, certainly a very skilled guy, and now coming off a loss, you can no longer say that. So, yeah, but I mean, shouts out to Costello's for the upset. I mean, that has to be up there as one of the biggest upsets so far this 2025.
Because it had shades of Misha Tate and Holly Holm. Like, we're talking about the 9th inning with 2 outs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and like, well, you could see it kind of coming little by little, because Johnny was losing a little bit of momentum, but when you think about the PFL and the situation that they're in, I mean, how many times do we go over that whole debacle with Bellator? And one of the guys that actually stuck around, that they did put their chips in, he now loses. And like Danny said, he was a guy that you could say, hey, this guy could battle with some of the guys in the UFC. And it just, nothing to take away from Van Steens. I thought he was a dog, man. He really, really came back in that fight and made it difficult. And had it gone to the judges, it might not have gone his way, right? But I think that fight, I wouldn't mind seeing it again, honestly.
Well, that's what I was going to ask Matt Wells. Is this so good that we should just rematch them instead of worrying about shoving them into a tournament next year? Maybe they now have 2 stars, and maybe it's a good way to rebuild Johnny?
I mean, I think the correct answer would be to run it back. Because it was such an incredible, last second comeback, literally choked him out at the last 9 seconds left on the clock. You got to run that back. Don't do any of this tournament stuff. I mean, sometimes, yes, that's the right answer with PFL, because that was their hook. That was what got people interested. All right, who's going to win this tournament to get this opportunity? In some cases, you just got to do the matchmaking side of things, man. And I think that's what you got to do in this case. Van Steenis, like to Danny's point, it's like we really don't kind of know who he is at this point, right? You got beat for most of that fight. I mean, you were still in it, and you were still showing signs as the fight went on that you weren't going away, and obviously you pulled it off. But what does that mean? Like, are you going to do that against other top guys in PFL? I need to see you do this again against Johnny Eblen, and maybe do it a little bit more impressively. Because, I mean, yes, it was a Hail Mary submission, but you also got beat for 24 minutes and 51 seconds of that fight. So,
and would the PFL knock it out of the park if they did it in Spain as well? Kind of beat the UFC to that country?
Hey,
100%.
100%. Africa and Spain, imagine.
100%. They are killing the UFC on that side of things, right?
Johnny Eblen. Go ahead, Matt. Sorry.
No, I was just going to say, like, that's the only thing that they're beating the UFC on, is going to these places.
Am I missing another place as well? Is there a third one?
Well, they took over from Bellator, and Bellator beat the UFC to Hawaii.
Yeah.
Hawaii. Yeah.
Was it France?
I feel like there was
Yeah,
a PFL
they
event.
beat them to France.
PFL
too.
France. Yep.
I just can't remember if it was Bellator or PFL, but I know they were the first before the UFC to go to France. And I knew France was going to blow up because they have great athletes in so many sports.
Mm-hmm.
But the UFC one was first in Baku, Azerbaijan. No, I'm just kidding.
Shout
Shout out to Baku. It looked like a beautiful city, and they brought it. It's just that we didn't really expect that one.
They got France, Africa, and South Africa, and the opportunity to do Spain. So that'd be nice.
Someone needs to go to Morocco too, man. I think they would bring it. I love watching their soccer fans go nuts. They love their sporting athletes.
The UFC needs to figure out the stupid thing with Hawaii. The fact that BJ Penn never fought under a UFC banner in Hawaii, and now Max Holloway is getting older, and he may never fight under a UFC banner in Hawaii. That's stupid. You gotta make that happen somehow.
And Cabbage Correa. We could have seen the Cabbage Fat. No, I ain't even going to try that. But we could have seen a lot of stars back in the day. Ensign Inoue, Egan Inoue. But, I mean, they had so many chances just to go. You know, when they were small, they could have went to the Blaisdell Arena, 8,000. Anyway. All right, Dakota Ditcheva. Let's get to probably the biggest star in PFL. She beat Inamba, and she got re-signed with the PFL. How big of a move was that, Danny, for the PFL?
Huge. I mean, we just talked about that L from Johnny Eblin, right? And it just seems like right now there is a massive exodus, not only from the PFL, but other promotions that are second tier to the UFC of just kind of letting go their talent. And I think that's that speaks on the poor health of the industry. And we know Dakota Ditcheva is a name that a lot of a lot of people were saying, like, you know, she's one of the fighters that would be interesting to see over in the UFC. So for them to be able to hang on to that talent and sign her, I think it's a solid move from them. Now they got to build on that, which is finding her, you know, interesting opposition, right? And I think they're doing their best, and it's a hard job, but at least they got one piece of the puzzle, which was re-sign her, keep her around, because she clearly draws all eyeballs and a lot of interest from the MMA community.
She looked great on Saturday, and that was going the whole 15 minutes, not getting one of her vicious KOs. Matt Wells, you got to decide here. Which Garcia brother's tripping? I think she could come over to the UFC and become a champ. Goes on Junkie Radio or on the watch along, or I can't remember. He was saying he could think of 5 UFC athletes that could beat her.
5 UFC athletes that can beat her. Wow, that's a lot. She could absolutely.
Can I go through them, Matt?
Yeah, go through them. Let me hear this 5.
Okay, guys. So I'm not trying to be a hater here, okay? But do you think she beats Valentina?
That's the one that I think would be tough, by the way.
Natalia Silva?
Today, no.
Natalia Silva?
Oh, that would be a good fight. That would be a damn good fight.
Mano Ferro?
Yes.
Yes.
She beats Manon.
You don't think Manon can out wrestle?
Sorry,
Alexa Grasso? That one
Yes.
I might give into.
I think she could beat Alexa.
Alexa's falling off so hard lately.
Well, Alexa's just hands, man.
Aaron Blanchfield and Jasmine Jasdavicius.
Those are tough.
Can get it down to the ground.
Damn good fights. Damn good fights.
Maybe Macy Barber, Rose
stop.
Namajunas.
Stop
Yeah.
them.
All competitive fights, but I think Dakota can win those.
Or so we think.
I think she needed I think her and the PFL need each other right now. I think Dakota needs about 2 to 3 more fights to improve, and I think the PFL needs to retain their stars. I think it's a match made in heaven right now.
See, I connected the dots a year ago when she destroyed Tyler Santos. I think right away I was like, well, I wonder how she would do. And then they brought a former title challenger there, and she went through. I mean, Tyler looked great. Is it Talia or Tyler? I can't remember.
Tyler.
But she looked great that night, but she still got destroyed in the end.
Okay, let me just bring up one last point before Judge Matt gives his verdict. A couple weeks ago, when we were talking about Johnny Eblin, what were we attaching to his name?
Wrestling? I don't know.
No, he's a guy that could possibly be one of the best middleweights in the world. He could probably beat a lot of guys in the UFC. What just happened, right? I think these are just different tests, man. When you the girls, what she's done with the girls in front of her so far has been impressive. We just don't know what would happen against higher level talent, right?
Who's tripping, Matt? Me or Goes?
I think Goes is tripping a little bit.
Damn.
A little bit. Sorry,
Who's
man.
tripping, Danny?
It's
You
just
agree with
different
that?
in it's just different in women's MMA, right? Because all of the top talent, they emerge really quickly, right? with guys, especially in the higher weight classes with guys, you can get a guy that comes in and hits hard, a guy that can, take some damage and then, pull off a submission late, like we just saw with Eblin, right? With the women, it's pretty clear who the top talent, across the board are, right? Most of them are in the UFC. You have Dakota. They brought in Tyler Santos, and we saw what she did to her. She's going to run out of competition very quickly in the PFL, which is the only bad thing for her.
That's why I can't believe she resigned.
Yeah, but I get it. You're the face of the promotion. You're kind of like that, enticing thing for maybe if somebody doesn't resign with the UFC, bring him in, put him against Dakota, and let's see what happens. But they brought, like I said, they brought in Tyler, man, and she styled on her, and she styled on Sumiko as well. But Inaba, man, she's got a chin out of this world. Because let's not forget,
Hawaiians, man.
Dakota, I think, broke her hand from hitting her so much in the head. It was target practice that entire fight. Like, Sumiko didn't do anything offensively whatsoever to cause any damage. The damage was caused from hitting her so much, which is crazy.
She's got that Muay Thai plum. I mean, those knees to the body or to the face. The elbow. She even did a backward elbow. She'll do lead elbows. She'll break them off the clinch. And then her hands are really powerful. Her straight up kicks. I'm telling you, just like Kayla, she's going to come over and win a title in the UFC. Remember, guys, focus. July 21st, 2025, GG said it. She's going to be a world champion in the UFC if she decides to come over. She's that good.
I agree.
All right.
I agree.
Look, we don't have time for other highlights. It was a great show for the PFL. The crowd popped. Dakota was crying because there was actually fans going along with her walk down. It's a great walkout, by the way. One of my favorites it's become. So shout out to the PFL for making a splash in South Africa. Diego Sanchez, Danny, what's he doing, man? He's got a gun hanging out of his car. Pops it 3 times apparently. Didn't hurt anyone, thank God, but he was arrested. Is this pugilistic dementia? I've never known him to be that much of a knucklehead. I thought those were in his old days in high school. He always seemed kind of chill.
Yeah, this is not good, and unfortunately, I think we're gonna see more of this stuff from other fighters because really MMA is just fairly a new sport, and I think sort of the first generation, like they didn't have enough eyeballs, and I'm talking about the people that were fighting in the tournaments and when they were fighting Royce Gracie and whatnot. Probably they didn't log that many fights, and also they didn't, all the prelims guys and all that, they didn't become that famous to a point where like they're making headlines now. But the generation around Diego Sanchez where they were on TV and stuff like that, now they're starting to get older, and yeah, we've seen some similar headlines, which is obviously worrisome. I hope that everything's okay with Diego. I believe in the police report there was something about substance abuse, if I'm not mistaken. I hope that everything is well with him and he gets the help, because not only for his sake but for others. Obviously, like shooting a gun out, from your vehicle, that's obviously extremely irresponsible. You can get
as they were passing a traffic stop or a crash.
Yeah, it's insane. It's insane.
I mean, yeah, where's his head at?
Exactly.
Season 1, Stephan Bonner was also kind of losing it. Yeah. Man, it's really, really scary. But Diego, like, seriously, what?
I mean, Phil Baroni, you remember?
You ain't Curly Bill. Like, I mean, that was years ago. You could do something like that. Just pop a gun in the air. Goes, how about Sean Strickland? He can't fight until he settles this thing with the Nevada State Athletic Commission. He was suspended for walking in with Chris Curtis to defend his teammate Miles Hunziker. And I don't know necessarily defend him, but just his opponent was kind of, pulling the Degeneration X, telling him to suck it. He didn't like it, but it might cost him a few months here.
Yeah, like in our sport, cooler heads don't always prevail. I do get why he did it. Him and Chris Curtis probably handled it a little different. I think Chris just wanted to confront the guy, but Sean actually let his hands go, and you can't do that. But I don't know that whatever the Nevada State Athletic Commission does decide, I don't know that it's ever going to curb this type of behavior, right? Like, unless you come down on these guys really hard, they're just going to be willing to take these types of penalties to do what they do, what MMA does. And so it's just kind of another check mark there on the bad things that happen in mixed martial arts. But I don't see that punishment being something that stops Sean from ever doing this again.
This is true.
Also, you
Matt,
would think, sorry to interrupt real quick, but not to shit too much on Strickland here, but you would think somebody that says so many outrageous things and offends so many people would have thicker skin, right? Like,
it's a good point. And he's been a world champion. He now has money, and he's older. He's a team captain at Extreme. Like, that shouldn't really. Come on, suck it.
Are we saying he's a fit for professionalism? Are we trying to say that? Come on.
Matt, your thoughts on Tony Ferguson, man? He just he lands in the wrong spots. I don't like this matchup against Salt Poppy over in Misfits on August 30th. He's gonna box on that same card with Darren Till and Luke Rockhold. Do you have any thoughts on that? I mean, I guess doors are closed. PFL didn't take him. He's not with the UFC. One championships pivoting away from MMA as much.
I mean, I hate how we're going from Tony Ferguson, who was once a boogeyman of the division, to now about to lose a boxing fight to a guy named Salt Poppy.
Yeah.
Because Tony Ferguson was not a boxer. That was not his strong suit. When I heard he was going into, this world of celebrity / YouTube boxing, not good. And go watch Salt Poppy's fights if you have not. Chat, if you have not seen it, I can crack.
Don't let his name.
Danny and I were discussing that. We think he's gonna win. I mean, this isn't good for Tony Ferguson. Anyone that thinks this is a layup or anything, no, I don't see it going his way.
Yeah.
Goes Aaron Pico is gonna fight Movsar Evloev. Evloev is out. Pico told him heal up, but I want you in Chicago. Do we preserve that matchup? Do you like that if it's not a big setback for Evloev? Pico hasn't fought since February of 2024. He needs to get in there. I think he's an exciting fighter, by the way.
I mean, I think it depends on what the UFC wants to do with Aaron Pico, because sometimes when you get these guys from other organizations, they feed them to the wolves, and other times they try and build them up, right? A guy like RDR was a guy that I felt they probably tried to feed to the wolves, and he proved them wrong, and maybe Pico can do the same. But the Evloev fight, I always thought that was kind of a tough fight. So I think if Pico really thinks he can win this fight the way he does, and he likes that matchup, it would put him in a great spot. So if I'm Pico, I would probably try and keep that fight. But me personally, I don't know if that's a good fight for him.
And Danny, one last bit of news. I thought it was big. In Abu Dhabi, Volkov versus Almeida is official. Winner gets the winner of Gane versus Aspinall. Is that how you're seeing this?
Probably, yeah. And I mean, as you mentioned, like finally, like with John Jones being out of the picture, I feel like heavyweight fights now have meaning, right? Like now we know what they're fighting for. Now we know that the division's rolling. So yeah, the winner here absolutely should be a next contender. If Gane ends up getting the shot.
But they're not, though, because John is saying, I'm coming back for this.
Bro, he's not. We all know that's cap. He ain't fighting again.
Jack.
He's done.
It doesn't matter. The fact that he's saying it, and if they really are going to do this White House card, this Volkov fight doesn't mean a damn thing right now. Because Aspinall isn't going to fight twice before the end of the year, is he? John said he wants to fight the winner at the end of the year, which means the UFC will oblige that and hold up the whole division until July. Watch it happen.
Wait, hold on a second. Aspinall fight's Gane, right? We're assuming.
Yes.
And you said John wants to fight the winner at the end of the year or at the White House?
He said he wants to fight whoever is holding the title at the end of 2025. So that means they're going to hold up. If it's Tom, they're going to hold up Tom until July. Watch it happen.
But Dana kind of poured cold water over that. He said, "This guy, we can't rely on him." And I don't know.
But he also said John Jones would never headline a UFC pay-per-view again or something like that.
Exactly.
Here we are.
UFC
bro, let's not put that out in the universe.
Times, dude. It's crazy.
Jailton Almeida, Volkov, title eliminator. That's it.
All right. This week is UFC on ABC, and they're out in Abu Dhabi. Robert Whittaker against Rainier de Ridder goes. Is this a title eliminator for RDR?
It could. I mean, it should be, right, considering what he's been able to do. But that guy, he's put his body through a lot. It's been fight after fight after fight with no breaks, and it doesn't get any easier this weekend. I'm really excited to see what he could do here, because we get different versions of Robert Whittaker, right? And I think RDR deserves to be here, and a win here, depending on how he makes it look, he could be right there.
Danny, usually if you get through the Reaper, Bobby Knuckles, you kind of do get a title fight. But we got some big fights, man. I think Imavov and Bohayo and Fluffy's making his way up as well. He's got Roman Delite, who's on a 3-fight win streak. Do Izzy and Strickland ever fall too far down, down the mountain? What are your thoughts here? How important is this fight?
It's a big fight. I don't know if it's a title eliminator, but it could be. I think the only winner there out of the fights that you mentioned, or the people that you mentioned, there's the Imavov Caio Borralho. I think it comes down who looks more spectacular. Fortunately for RDR, he is fighting a former champion. Robert Whitaker has a bigger name than Imavov or Borralho. So if he gets a big win, especially if he subs him or just does something impressive, I can see that overshadowing whatever Borralho and Imavov end up doing. So let's see what happens, but certainly would put him right there. I mean, if it doesn't get him a title shot, it gets him a title eliminator bout for sure, like locked.
And when you fight frequently, that's music to the ears for the UFC, who's always filling cards up. Matt, Sean O'Malley, when he beat Petr Yan, that catapulted him to the top, right? He's for real, we all said. Kind of like Paddy Pimblett beating Chandler. He's for real. Marcus McGee, does he have that big of an opportunity as well with Petr Yan obviously carrying the cloud of being a former champ? He's on a 2-fight win streak. He's been looking good. Talk about that fight.
I still don't understand this matchup because it's such a crazy jump up for him, in my opinion, right? It's the UFC rankings, it's 13 versus 3. And McGee's coming off that win over Jonathan Martinez. I just thought it was a huge jump up. But like you said, if he goes out there and if he can finish Petr Yan and, get some sort of impressive knockout, you kind of have to throw him immediately in that conversation, especially because, he's not terrible on the mic. He can go out there and promote himself a little bit. So it could happen. But I just don't see it happening.
Could Bryce Mitchell winning at 135 make him a star, Danny? He's got Saeed Nurmagomedov. He carries over equity from 45. Wasn't the worst run in the world. He just didn't close strong. But he says size matters. So what are your thoughts on that one?
I mean, I don't know if he's going to become a big star in the promotion, but he's certainly a recognizable figure for better or worse. And I'm sure if he can have some success at 135, given that, he's changing division, it'll be kind of like a clean slate. I'm sure people will start talking about him potentially fighting for the title and all that. Because at 45, I do feel like he kind of burned all his bridges in terms of his path to the title. So yeah, let's see if this kind of gives him a new life in his career.
What's another highlight from this Abu Dhabi card goes early afternoon, noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific, for those that want a reminder on Saturday. What else should people look at?
I think Ricci and Ribas will be a lot of fun.
Ooh.
I think they're just going to stand in front of each other and throw bombs.
Amanda Ribas is a favorite of mine. He kind of took mine. How about you, Matt?
What time did you say the card starts again?
Noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific for Abu Dhabi. They're on ABC.
Mm-hmm. That's my highlight.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah, clear up the Saturday night for you. 100%. I get you. All right. How about you, Danny? You got a fight or something else outside the box like Matt Wells?
Good, man. I like it. I always like Damon Blackshear. I always like watching him fight. And then also shouts out to Marcus Buchecha making his debut. Fun addition to heavyweight. Let's see how he does.
Yeah, and I know Shara Bullet took that L. So the stock drops a little bit. And Marc-Andre Barrios, he's just punched the clock for so many years. He'll never be a champ. I'm sorry. I mean, that's the truth. But his fights don't suck, win or lose. So I love this banger on ABC. Hopefully a casual fan's just flipping the channels and they like this and they watch the rest of the card and they become a fan and that's that, because I think that's the type of fight this is. It's a car crash. So keep your eyes on that one, folks. Thank you so much to everyone that tunes in every Monday at noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific for Spinning Back Clique. Don't forget, we have another video franchise called Overreaction Time. Same time, noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific on Tuesdays. Check that out with host Simon Samano. And I want to thank Matt for coming in late notice. We had to call him out of the bullpen. We said, we need you on. So thank you, Matt, for coming in. And Cold Coffee with the ones and twos. All of you for tuning in. Danny and Goes, great job. We're out of here for now. Go out and be a champion. We'll talk to you next week.